Okay, so can I get some waves to see if everyone is coming on? Okay, and can you guys hear me? A little thumbs up. All right, I'm just gonna settle in. My name is Monique Carmona, for those of you joining. I wanna thank you for taking the time to be with me, and I wanna thank you for dropping in and connecting and yeah, feeling out the nooks and crannies of life through story. So I've lit a candle. Feel free to light one. Feel free to grab a glass of wine as I light some sage. I want to thank Jen, Capo, longtime friends, and across the other side of the planet, and yet here we are. Here we are. So, Mother's Day. I'd like to give it up right now for the Divine Feminine. And I'd like to give it up for the fact that this year, it's the first year I don't get to celebrate Mother's Day in the flesh with my mother, as she is on the other side, as they say. You know, while we get started, I just want to say to all the sisters, all the mothers, all the daughters, all the feminine feeling people, happy Mother's Day, right? Thank you for the work, the labor, the love. Thank you for the creativity. Let me just start by saying that, yeah, this is a story about the first time. So this is the first time I'm going through Mother's Day without my mom. And, you know, she'll be forever in my blood. She's in my molecules, she's in my DNA. Her feisty, spunky, powerful presence. And, you know, this is a prop. Some people think it's an urn. Some people think it's an ornament. In my case, it's a constant reminder. These symbols and these rituals, constant reminder of, you know, the bare bones reality that death is real, you know. And so grateful for that, you know, constant waking up to that, because in the flip side, in the, you know, underbelly of that is so much living and so much life. So in 2017, I brought my brother, and my brother and I brought my mom, Shirley, who is with us tonight in spirit. I can sense it. We brought her, you know, begrudgingly, kicking and fighting, to California. My father had passed away the year before. Grief hit her like a ton of bricks. It hit her harder than anything we could have ever imagined. And so we brought her out to take care of her, as you do. And what death has you do quickly is it has you understand that you need to prepare for the inevitability with the people that you love. And what I'd like to do right now before I move on is I'd like for everyone to, at their own will, think of someone that has gone, someone that they love, someone that they would love to have another meal with, a dance with, a joke with, a cry with, a hug with, and invite them in, you know? Invite them in. I think that what I've learned in this last few years is the more I invite love in, the more I invite the vulnerable in, the more I invite this space, this cosmic, kind of murky and scary space, that I let more light in, you know. So in 2017, my mom is living with me in Sherman Oaks. I couldn't have imagined if you paid me. And yet here it was, life on life's terms. And my father died very quickly. And I remember the day after I had hospiced him, and he passed, and we prepared him to leave the home. I was picking out caskets. I was, you know, completely out of it, completely numb, and making decisions for the family. So when my mom came out, we thought, we better get on this. We didn't know if she had 2 months or 2 years or 20 years. After all, my mother, like I'm sure many of your mothers, and like I'm sure many of you mothers, was an ox of a woman, you know, just tough, tough, tough. And so we didn't know. We thought she would definitely outlive most people. And so I went to the task of getting her arrangements ready, and she had chosen cremation. And we, of course, weren't telling her about this. Hey, Mom, we're working on your services. You don't do these things, you quietly go in the night and you manage your loved ones, and you talk amongst yourselves, and then you go and you visit, and you go. And my mother at this point had been moved into assisted living, and I ordered a meeting with a cremation service where I had to fill out all the paperwork, and I had to meet with a contractor, if you will, a representative, and go over all of the info, what is it like and how does it go. And I'm quite curious, I think in another life I could have been like a, forensics, Sherlock Holmes type. So I dug a little. I wanted to know. If you have any questions, you can call me later. But it was very quick, and he was very kind, and then he said, oh, you'll be getting something in the mail. And when you're dealing with these things, you don't take in all the information. And I'll never forget, knock at the door, and it was Amazon or UPS, and there was a package at my front door, and it was my mother's urn. But wait, my mom's not dead. But wait, you don't get to do this to me, to my mom. You don't get to send me a package like it's a pair of shoes, or, the latest book. This is the place in which my mother, who brought me here, will rest, inside this cardboard box. And so I bring it into the house, and I put it on the table, and I'm stunned. I'm stunned, and then I'm remembering the conversation, letting it wash over me. Yeah, we need to send the urn to you ahead of time. Excuse me? Well, we want to make sure that whenever your mom does pass, God, that you have the urn, that it's on your person. Why on earth would I want it on my person? If she dies, then I can get the urn. Aren't you coming to get her when she dies? Can't we do that then? Well, procedure. I remember calling a friend, and I knew it was a defining moment. I said, my mother's urn is on the table. They thought, what is she? No, she's alive. Her urn is on the table. I can't touch it. These moments, this truth, this bone-searing, cannot look away, welcome to the club. There is before, and then there is after. And you're just on a ride. This is not a dress rehearsal. And I knew in that moment, I could let this change me if I wanted to. I didn't have a choice to a certain degree, but I could let it affect me. I could let it wake me up. And I think it's the best trick in the book. Death, timeline, deadline, whatever you want to call it. the opportunity to understand that we must learn as best we can to let go. And my mother did not die that day, or the next day, or the day after. I think we went on 2 years of back-to-back ICU, emergency, you name it, before she decided to get the hell out of this place. And I remember being with her at the facility and having to go back home in the back of my closet where I had stuffed this place where my mother would rest, and I had to go and get it and bring it. And if I'm going to cut back in time now, come there with me, get back on this little helicopter, we're going to go back in time. I knew as a storyteller that there was an opportunity to share, to dive into, to explore the quality of coping, or the quality of knowing something is going to happen and still having to choose to live as brightly and as connected, as one could. And I was also, when I got that urn, I was falling in love. I was falling in love like a 18-year-old. It was exciting. It was relief. It was safety. It was beautiful. It was fun. It was creative. It was with, a playwright out in Los Feliz, and God knows I wanted to get to Los Feliz. And I was dancing with both of those feelings. This utter stark pain and this joy. And my mother got to meet my lover, and vice versa. And I was asked to write a play. I was asked to write a play for the June Lake Theater Festival. It's a wonderful outside, extraordinary experience up in June Lake. If you haven't been, I highly recommend it. It's near Mammoth. It's a secret for poets and lovers and hikers and naturalists and people that just need to get out of the city. Go to June Lake. And I thought, well, what will I write about? What will I write about? I was like, well, that damn urn. And this was before my mother had passed. And I was at this bridge. And I knew it was about the urn. I didn't know, because I don't write like that. I show up on the page and the characters will tell me what the story wants to be. Life will tell you what the story wants to be. And I ended up writing a young adult love story about loss and about an urn. And this prop was in the story, and it is a talisman, if you will, a symbol of preemptive grief. Knowing that we've all got a certain amount of days, and choosing to not live in anxiety about it, to dance, to play, to cry, to feel the anxiety, to note the anxiety, and to, somehow move through, move with, move. And so I wrote this really great play, and then got some people together. And this was when my mom was alive. And I didn't tell her too much about it. I said, I'm going to June Lake and I'm doing a play, Mom. She didn't care as long as I was happy. And it's about grieving the things we haven't lost yet, but that we know we will. And now I'm going to cut back to today, to the day before Mother's Day, the day after a full moon. A day that I'm here, with you, just being with you, talking about the power of story to transform and heal, talking about the power of story to utilize the dark and prickly and murky things in your life and to expose them to your community, to talk about it, because I am not alone. I'm not alone, you're not alone. So my mother passed away, and there's a whole other story there when my brother showed up and I showed up and they came to get her and give them the urn. And then she comes back. You get someone to come over your house and they bring you the urn. And then I had to fly my mother back to Florida to be with my father. And I did. And now she's everywhere. She's in the trees and the flowers. She's in my sass. She's in my love. She's in my storytelling. She's weaved into all of it. And I decided to adapt that play into a film, Ancient Ashes and Selfies. It's really just a young adult love story about loss. And it's about when we know something is right around the corner that we can't be with, we can't bear it, how we do, and how that shapes us and cultivates us, and how I really do believe, the defining moment for me and the defining information that keeps coming through, that I keep waking up to, that I keep smacking my head against, is that we can't have love without grief, and we can't have life without death. And I think that so many of us are running away from that deepness. We don't want to live our days in depression and grief. But if we can use life to imitate art and art to imitate life, because that story wasn't just about my mother dying. It was about love. And it was about the crazy ways we cope and communicate and try to say the impossible, which is I don't know how to live without you, and which is I actually do know how to live without you. And won't you join me in coloring my life, in coloring my gratitude, in coloring my lessons while we're here for this short time. And so then COVID hit. This was, now we're going up to 2019. My mother has passed. I am grieving. I am turning this play into a movie. I shoot this movie with incredible actors and incredible people and crew and creatives, and I pour everything into it. Humor and grit, and I'm crying while I'm shooting it, and I'm not crying, and I'm all of it. And I just finished shooting it, what we call principal photography, where you're actually on set, and then COVID hit, and then everybody is grieving, and people can't be with their loved ones. They can't be with them when they're passing through this holy, sacred space, this bridge. And our minds are blown, and everyone is like, what is going on? Well, what's going on is that we're spinning through space on a planet called Earth, and we've been given a gift called life. And it's crazy, and it's sensational, and it's amazing, and it's dripping with so much. And I'm just so grateful for storytelling and community, because you can always find me around a campfire, listening to your story and leaning in and seeing where I am in that story, and seeing where my ancestors are in that story, and your beloveds, and your story. And together, with listening and with portraying and conveying and playing music and feeling and weeping, we get to really live in this symphony of what it is to be alive. So this Mother's Day, the first Mother's Day without my mother, she's like many who have passed. You know, probably more useful now than she ever has been as far as affecting the life force and the love around us out of her suffering body and into the ethers where our muses dance together and they wink and they nod and they point at our beauty. So thank you for letting me share. Follow along with my journey and I'll follow along with yours. And yeah, I can't wait to share the film with you, and I can't wait to tell you more stories, and I can't wait to hug everyone that I want to hug when I finally can. You know, if COVID has shown us anything. It's just how cutting and how exquisite life can be. So thank you, Jennifer. Hello to Australia and Bali and Los Angeles and East Coast. And hello, my mother. Hello, my mother. Good night, everyone.